Fala galera, eu sou Igor Miranda e eu trago para vocês hoje uma entrevista muito legal com Zakk Wylde, guitarrista da banda de Ozzy Osbourne, que também tem seu próprio projeto, o Black Label Society. Não dá nem para chamar de projeto, já é uma banda muito consolidada, com vários discos, com mais de 20 anos de estrada. E eles estão lançando mais um álbum agora, que é o Doom Crew Incorporated. Tem uma nova formação, né? Na verdade um acréscimo, né? O guitarrista Dario Lorina acabou de chegar. Já está com a banda já há algum tempo em estúdio, mas esse é o primeiro disco gravado com o Dario também na guitarra, junto do Zakk Wylde. E eu pude conversar com o Zakk, não só com relação a esse novo disco, essa nova fase do Black Label, como também sobre os 30 anos do No More Tears, álbum clássico de Ozzy Osbourne, que tem as guitarras gravadas por Zakk Wylde. Essa entrevista, curiosamente, ela aconteceu no mesmo dia em que o No More Tears completou 30 anos de lançamento, no dia 17 de setembro de 1991. O timing foi perfeito para poder fazer perguntas relacionadas ao No More Tears. Falamos até sobre a participação dele no filme Rockstar. Enfim, o bate-papo está demais. O Zakk Wylde, como muitos fãs já sabem, é um cara super bem-humorado, bem tranquilo para responder, responde tudo que é perguntado, sempre com uma profundidade. É um cara que continuou sendo fã de rock, ele não trata o rock, o metal como trabalho, para ele é como uma eterna diversão, ele é um grande fã de todos aqueles caras com os quais ele toca também, com Ozzy Osbourne, com músicos lendários com quem ele já dividiu o palco. Então, é uma conversa de fã para fã. Eu sou fã do Zakk Wylde, o Zakk Wylde é fã de rock e de heavy metal, então é um papo muito legal, eu espero que vocês curtam. Se liga só.
So let's talk about this awesome new record, Doom Crew Incorporated. Man, this is the first Black Label studio album with Dario Lorina on guitar. And we can hear a lot from Dario on this album because we have some cool guitar harmonies in there, some twin guitar solos. I'd like to know, what was it like working with Dario on studio, and what were his main inputs to the album?
So no, I mean, for me, this album just a natural evolution of where it's been headed. So, I mean, Dario, because obviously when I'm playing piano, Dario's playing guitar. And then throughout the years, Dario's been in the band. I've been getting him more involved, like playing doubling solos on Stillborn or Suicide Messiah, like older songs. So that's on the album. That's just an extension of that. So, but doing, with some of the solos, there's harmonies and things. So it's kind of in the vein of the Allman Brothers, Judas Priest, and Thin Lizzy, where you actually need two guys, you know what I mean, to get that sound. So, I mean, Dario's an amazing player. He plays piano, he sings, he does dishes, he does laundry, he makes an amazing chicken piccata, so he does it all. So he's amazing. So the whole thing is, it's only natural for, that he's on the record, and then he played his ass off. So as far as I'm concerned, he knocked it out of the park, man, for sure.
Cool. And you are with Don Giuseppe on bass for a long time, and also Jeff Febb on drums. It's his second album with you, I guess. What can you say about their contributions to the record and to the band?
I mean, the guys are phenomenal. I mean, I've known JD since we've been like 17 years old. So, I mean, before Ozzy. So we've been jamming. So, and Ozzy's JD's the godfather of, the Sabatini. That's his godfather's Uncle JD. So, no, it's just, I love having, doing this all of it with JD, I mean, because JD mixes the records with me, and, and we work, producing all the records and mixing and doing everything. So, so having the Goose around, it's great. And Jeffy, we all love each other's company, and I love playing with all the guys, Jeff, between how solid he is and, between the power and the finesse that he has and everything like that. And Jeff's meter is just like, it's pretty incredible. He's like a metronome back there. So, no, it's just, it's great. Just the chemistry of all the fellas and everything like that. And, the fact that we all love rolling together. So it's, their contribution is their musicianship is what they bring, and their personalities is what they bring to it.
Cool. And besides Dario's inputs, in your opinion, what are the main musical differences between this new album and the previous one, Remixed Hits?
Nothing. I just think, I mean, the approaches are pretty much always the same. I think it always comes down to, as far as, solos and things like that, any musician, your technique is your technique. So, I'm always run scales and, you always work on your technique and stuff like that. So, but I mean, that's just another gear that, facilitates you to, in case you want to use it, you know what I mean? So, but it's always down to, it's the songs. I mean, at the end of the day, it's the songs, man. Like as heavy as Black Sabbath is, that's not why you're listening to. You're listening to because they have great songs. Led Zeppelin, you listen to them because they have great songs. The Beatles, the Stones, anybody. I mean, when I listen to my Al Di Meola records, it's the music. Aside of Al's amazing playing, I listen to it because of the songs, and John McLaughlin and Mahavishnu Orchestra. So like you said, it always comes down. No matter what, it comes down to the songs. It's just like same thing with Slash with Guns N' Roses. I mean, his guitar playing's amazing, and November Rain or Sweet Child of Mine, but it's those songs, you know what I mean, that everybody shows up to hear. That's it. And the guitar playing is the cherry on the top of the cake. But you got to have a cake.
Yeah. And by the way, I think Greatest Hits is one of my favorite albums from Black Label, just tied with the Mafia record. I'd like to know, how do you feel about Greatest Hits nowadays?
No, I love that record. I love a lot of the things, The Only Words, Trampled. We just had it in the set the other day, and all the songs that when we supported that record. So I love that album. Actually, I love them all. You know what I mean? The only thing, I mean, it's, because we just released a box set. So, that was fun, just taking a trip down memory lane, going through those albums, you know what I mean? So, but no, I think, I think if you ask any band or any artist, they're always excited about the most current thing you got going on,
I'd like to ask you about all the new songs separated, but we don't have enough time. So I want to ask you about the Farewell Ballad, the last song, because it's not 100% new. We all know the Farewell Ballad solo. If we count the multiple videos on YouTube, this solo has more than 23 million views. But correct me if I'm wrong, it's the first time you record a full song with those melodies and solos. Am I right?
Yeah. So it's the first time, like you said, it's been around since, I don't know, what, 2010, something like that. So, yeah, now, like you said, if it had 22 million views, it's been around, because it always comes up on my feed, on my Instagram. I keep getting tagged on, people copying it and doing a great job. You know what I mean? It's just definitely humbling, just like going, oh man, that's great, So, but I just, with this album, I said, before we did it, I said, man, we should finish that thing and just make it a full song. You know what I mean? So now it's got, you have the solo in the beginning, then it goes to the song, and then there's a solo in the middle. You know what I mean? So now we'll see if they can cop the middle solo. You know what I mean? See if we can get 22 million views for the middle solo. So, yeah.
And why did you take so long to release the full version, to write the full version of it?
I don't know. I mean, because we were always on to other things, and I was writing other songs or other mid-tempo or slower songs, you know what I mean? So I just never really thought about it, about putting it in there until like now. It's just like, you know what, man, I just finished this thing, So and I'm glad I did. So so now we have something new to put on there.
I was listening an interview you gave some time ago, and you mentioned that you used only pentatonic scales because it's the most lyrical scale. And we have to say that pentatonics were used not only by hard rock guitarists like Angus Young, Jimmy Page, you name it, but also by musicians like Frank Marino and John McLaughlin. They used it beautifully. So how is your approaching when writing your solos with the pentatonics? Of course, it's very related to how you feel it, but do you have any kind of different approach to create the solos?
No, I mean, my whole thing is like when I first started with Oz, I was just like, well, if you don't want to get compared to Yngwie, then don't do sweep picking, don't do harmonic minor. And if you don't want to get compared to Eddie Van Halen, don't do any taps, don't do, dive bomb stuff, harmonics, I mean, these are all Eddie trademarks. So it's just like, if you don't want to get compared to those guys, you know what I mean? So it's almost kind of like, you know, I mean, if back in the 60s, if you don't want to get paired to Jimi Hendrix, and then get rid of your wah-wah pedal and, you know, don't play a Strat, you know what I mean? And get rid of the whammy bar. So, you know, these are like his trademarks, you know what I mean? So, but it's just, yeah, just cross it off the list. If you don't want to get that, you know, so like in when I first started with Oz, I just crossed off, you know, 3-note scales, diatonics, harmonic minor, sweep picking, arpeggios, no whammy bar. And then I was like, all right, well, what's left on there? Pentatonic scales. So, you know, I was like, let me see how creative I can get with pentatonic scale, and just force yourself to have to make it work. You know what I mean? So, you know, it's just, and then you're forced to have to use your imagination. Like, well, what can I do here? And I had chicken picking and pentatonic scales. Let me figure this out. You know, stick some chromatics in there, so some blues stuff. You know, but yeah, that's what I did when I first started with Oz. So, you know, so you wouldn't get compared to any of the other guys. You know, but I mean, I just love the sound of it too. You know, like I love the sound of Frank Marino's playing. I love the sound of John McLaughlin's playing, and you know, because they're like, I mean, their use of pentatonic scales is just, you know, mind blowing. And like I said, it's so musical and it sounds great. So, yeah, and I mean, I still do, but I still, you know, I'll do 3 notes a string, you know, like, because Al Di Meola is a huge influence on me as well, and inspiration. So, yeah, I mean, whatever it is that's going to fit the solo now, you know what I mean? It's just like, if you want to use 3 notes a string, go for it. You know what I mean? Just, but you know, but like you said, I love the sound of pentatonics though.
Man, I have to ask you about Ozzy Osbourne, the boss, because exactly 30 years ago, the No More Tears album was released, and a deluxe edition of the record is being released today. What can you say about the No More Tears album nowadays, 3 decades later?
No, I mean, you know, people ask like, oh, what was the writing sessions like that one compared to No Rest? To me, it was just an extension of, you know, just the evolution of writing with Oz, you know what I mean? So, but you know, I remember when he called me up on the phone when he was doing the vocals for Time After Time. He was like, Zakk, you got to check this out, you know, because he was doing harmonies on it and everything. I was just like, man, that sounds awesome. And then when, you know, when he did the vocals for you know, Mama, I'm Coming Home, I was just like, wow, this thing sounds amazing, you know. So hearing that, and then, you know, the mixes, you know, working with John and Dwayne, it was a blast because, you know, we're buddies with the guys. And then Michael Wagner, you know, love Mike, and, you know, Mike's amazing at what he does, and he's a legend guy. So, and he knocked it out of the park. You know, when we heard the final mixes, I was like, oh my God, this thing sounds great. So, but like hearing it even nowadays, like when I hear it on the radio, I'm like, wow, it still sounds great. So, yeah, the guys did a great job. So no, it was a lot of fun working on that record. You know what I mean? And then obviously the tour that came after with, you know, with Mike Inez, Randy Castillo, John Sinclair on the keys, and then Oz singing. It was the best. We had nothing but great times.
Yeah, there are so many talks about Ozzy wouldn't be anybody without his musicians, especially his guitar players, because he's not that singer with a wide vocal range and stuff like that. But I heard you say multiple times, I guess, that Ozzy is like the king of melodies. He knows to write melodies like anyone else. And when you create good melodies, you create good songs. And it's the most important thing on music. What can you say about Ozzy's natural talent for music, so well reflected on No More Tears album?
Yeah, I think Ozzy, I never got that. Ozzy's a great singer. I mean, you listen to all the Sabbath stuff, it's phenomenal. You know what I mean? His singing, and then I'll put his singing on that Sabotage record up against any of his peers, against, you know, all his peers, whether it was Robert Plant, whether it was Rod Stewart, Ian Gillan, all the guys back then, you know, Steve Marriott, everybody. I mean, Ozzy's vocals on Sabotage are phenomenal. I mean, that recording, I'll put that up against anybody. But no, it just, he's, you know, every very rarely, you know, all my years of being with Oz, has he ever sang something, if it wasn't the first thing he sang, where he was like, I don't like what I'm singing there. I'm going to go, let me fix that. I got it. You know, I'm going to come up with another melody or something like that. I mean, like usually, you know, I could only imagine Randy playing, I don't know. And Oz go, keep playing it, keep playing it. And Ozzy just going, I guarantee that was like the first thing that came out of his mouth. Cause I mean, everything with us, No More Tears, Mom Coming Home with it. Those were the first things he sang. Miracle Man, that was the first thing he sang. Crazy Babies, that was the first thing he sang. You know, I mean, I was there. I seen it all. You know what I mean? So it was like the first thing that he came out, it was just like, wow, like knock it out of the park. And, you know, it's just his love for the Beatles and his just natural, that's what he's hearing. You know, I mean, his melody that he puts on Symptom of the Universe, I mean, it's just like, how did he come up with that? You know what I mean? But that's what he was hearing, and he just sang it. It's, you know, phenomenal. But yeah, that's why I always say he's the king of the melody, man.
Yeah. And we talked about the No More Tears anniversary. Now I'd like to ask you about the Rockstar movie, which is also having its anniversary. It's 20-year anniversary of release this year. What memories do you have from those times about the acting work and also about the recording of the songs from the Steel Dragon, probably one of the best bands that never existed?
No, but I mean, like you said, I have nothing but great memories making that movie between Mark and Jennifer and Steve Herrick, who directed it, and all the guys that were involved with it, and then jamming with Jason and Jeff Pilson and all the fellas. But I mean, just tons of laughs. I remember when they asked me to be in the movie, I was like, well, what do you need me to do? They were like, well, we want you to play guitar, drink beer, and shoot shotguns. And I was like, and you're going to pay me for this? You know, so, but yeah, like I said, it was a lot of fun, man. I mean, you know, so you know, because a lot of people love that movie. So it's definitely cool.
Yeah, and it's hard to explain to some people that you acted in a movie with Jennifer Aniston, right?
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
Yeah. And recently in 2018, you did the second Book of Shadows album, and we know fans asked a lot for that. And now more than ever, your fans are also asking about the second album from Pride and Glory. We can see that on social medias. You're a busy man, of course, but can we expect for a second album from Pride and Glory, just like you did with the Book of Shadows?
Yeah, you never know. I mean, I would never say never, you know, because I'm still friends with all the guys. So, you know, with J-Mo and Brian and everything like that. So, yeah, you never know, man. You know, if I could squeeze it in between Zach Sabbath, Black Label, Ozzy, Generation X, cleaning the dog run, dishes, laundry, making another chicken piccata, you know.
And what memories do you have from writing and recording the Pride and Glory album?
Like you said, we had a great time when we made that one too. I was just like, we recorded in Seattle and we were Rick Parisher, and it was definitely a different approach than making the Ozzy record, you know, because I didn't double the guitars. You know, with Ozzy it was more like building a house type thing, whereas that P&G was more of a power trio, improv, and just, you know, it was more of a live thing. You know what I mean? So, whereas, you know, we're with Black Label is more in the vein of working on it, like kind of like with Ozzy, you know what I mean? Where it's more structured type thing, whereas P&G was looser and just more improv, you know? So, because it was more of like a true power trio, like kind of like Cream and Mountain. So, but you know, I love doing it. There is no right or wrong way. I mean, I love doing it either way, you know, because you're playing music and there are no rules, you know, but yeah, I mean, like you said, you never say never. We could always make another one, you know, never know.
Yeah. For our last moment here, please leave a message for your fans here in Brazil. We're waiting so much to see you here. And
the Brazilian chapter of the almighty Black Label Society, just tell everyone to stay strong, keep bleeding Black Label, and God bless, and hopefully we'll be seeing everybody soon.